or you do it online, you look at the online statement, it tells you how long it will take you to pay it off if you pay the minimum. And it's like 27 years. Like that's a mortgage payment. With a 30-year mortgage, you got a 27-year credit card payment. You just don't know it. I feel like that would be supremely important for me to know at a younger age.
I think the most important stuff in the world to actually achieve external success and internal fulfillment isn't actually taught in school. That's one thing that prepping for this speech, I got a little bit depressed. Not bad, but I was like, none of this would ever be taught. And I think I might be the first person to ever teach this.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. I almost forgot about the name of the freaking podcast. Today, for episode number 1957, it's Freestyle Friday. So Freestyle Friday is Alan and I coming in cold with nothing to talk about and just having a conversation about whatever jumps to the top. And we usually do this, but we haven't been doing it lately because, I don't know, we've been really focused on the lessons that we've been learning. And today's topic comes kind of from a lesson that I'm learning, but also learning through clients and all that happy jazz. I was exchanging audios with someone. A shout out to you, because you listen and you'll know it's you. And they were talking about how they were frustrated with the fact that they didn't find a solution to a problem yet. And I said, you know the weird thing? You almost never do find a solution. You just find a solution to get you to the next problem. And then when you get to the next problem, you have to find another solution. So a really good example of this, for social media, Instagram just changed a bunch of stuff, the way things are formatted. So all the templates we have for our posts and clients' posts are essentially useless. I mean, we can use them, we can work off of them, but now I need to figure out a solution for that. And what might happen is we might have a full-fledged solution, and then Instagram might decide they want to go back to something else. And then we're going to have to find another solution. And I think a good positive mindset to have is you're probably never going to have a 100% solved solution. You're probably going to have, what can I help you with?
I'm just smiling.
Why are you happy?
I can't tell if our audio quality is good.
Uh-huh.
Something's a strew.
All right, let's do it in real time.
How are you looking?
My levels are normal.
Okay. Do I sound well to you?
You sound normal to me. Yeah, you sound normal to me.
Something's different on my end. I think it might be because when we first got in the studio, Kevin accidentally blasted my ears out.
Blew his eardrums right out, clean out.
And so I changed my level of what
everything
I
is good on
here.
On our end. So I'm going to get back into it here. You know, people, we're back. I know this is Jeffing in real time. You would think that we would have the solution to all the problems.
Mm-hmm.
No. There are still issues that I don't know the root cause of, and I kind of know what works. And then if it doesn't work, then I have to go try to find another solution. And I kind of think that's life in a nutshell. I don't know if you ever get to a place where you have all the solutions. I think you get to a place where you have the best solution you've ever had, and then eventually another problem presents itself, and then it's just a rinse and repeat. So what I said to this person was, I love the frustration. I think frustration is a really good necessity, but don't obsess over not having the right thing before you move forward, because the only way to get a more right solution is to push forward with one that isn't optimal yet, because you're never really going to have an ideal solution, most likely, with life stuff. With math problems, sure, 4 + 4 is 8 and all that, but life is not that straightforward.
It's this duality of, okay, so next level you, pun intended, we talk about it all the time. Alan 3.6, Kev 3.5, he's 35, I'm 36. How old are you, listener, viewer? Think about that. And I was just coaching someone who's 25. And I have better solutions than he does. We were talking about some of the jeffings that he did with his ex-partner, and he said, I think I really screwed that up, and he asked for my opinion. And I said, it sounds like you did, from my honest perspective. And she sounds amazing, honestly, and you just didn't know. And I said something along the lines of, you just didn't know any better. And I said something, now you do. So if you were to give that another shot, I would be willing to bet that you'd make it work. And he said, that's because of you, Alan. I really appreciated that. But honestly, you're so different than you were 3 years ago. You didn't know about humility, courage, vulnerability. You didn't know about triggers and core wounds and trauma responses. I didn't know any of that stuff until my late 20s, man, early 30s.
Same.
And it makes a lot of sense when you understand the fundamentals. You have control. We did an episode on that recently, and I'm only 36, so I'm still young, but I also, it does get exponentially makes more sense. But the weird part about saying that out loud is that first you have to crawl through it making no sense whatsoever.
Yeah. And it's, so this is what I was thinking of. You're not a good example. What's it? There's a lot of people
What are you
out there.
trying to say?
You'll get the point once I say it, I promise. There's a lot of people out there that I could coach in business because I know enough about business. But there's a bunch of people out there that could coach me on business based on what I don't know yet. Does that mean I have all the solutions? No. That means I have the solutions to a certain point. Alan, I could teach jiu-jitsu to you so easily. But I couldn't teach jiu-jitsu to everybody. There are some people out there that learned more this year than I know in all of my years. Or probably have forgotten more this year than I have known in all of my years. So I think that there's your ability to slap a solution on a problem is connected to the amount of awareness you have around it. And the longer you've been in the game, the more awareness you have. But if you're just doing something for the first time or it's your first year, you have the best solution you ever have, but it's probably not the end-all be-all. Planes are the safest form of transportation.
Mm-hmm.
Every time there's an accident, they change something because that solution is not final. It's not going to be that way forever. It's going to constantly get changed. Unfortunately, it usually takes some level of emergency or some level of tragedy before things get changed because the solution seems like it's a good enough solution until it isn't, right? Until there's enough complaints about it or enough emergencies or tragedies, unfortunately.
This is the process of innovation. This is the process of improvement. This is the process of why we live in such a different world. Emilia is thinking about, she has had a MacBook Pro for probably 4 years now, and she's looking into an upgrade. And I think so one of my clients leases their MacBook Pro, and I think I'm for it. Here's why. There's dog years and there's tech years. Dog years is 1 year equals 7 years. I think tech years is probably similar. So every 3 years, that's actually like 21 years of progress. Technology exponentially increases. How do I explain this? Everyone can research something called Moore's Law. Basically, the idea is this guy, I don't remember his first name, but last name is Moore. Jim Bob Moore. Wilfredo Pareto, no. So someone with the last name of Moore in the 60s, I want to say.
Very confident.
Came up with a theory that became a law, that, and it's not actually a law, it's technically a theory, that technology, the power of microchips, the power of processing speeds, the power of computers, gets twice as much every 2 years, and the size is cut in half. So what the very first Apple computer way back, the Apple II, the revolutionary breakthrough product of the early 80s, late 80s, I'm not sure, I think early, that can fit now under your pinky fingernail. I know, it's really cool. What's my point of all that? Everything in the world is improving, but it's a very messy process. And I think that, so I'm giving a speech later today to a group of entrepreneurship students at WPI, and I created my presentation today. And one of the things that I was thinking to myself is it's engineering a fulfilling life. It's metrics, mindset, and meaning. And I went through each of them. And I had this moment while I was doing it going, okay, this is a lot. This is a lot of new information. I didn't know any of this when I was their age. How are they going to handle this? Like, how am I going to make this land? Blah, blah, blah. Really what it comes down to, engineering a fulfilling life, I have answers that they don't have because I've worked for the last, so they're I think 20, maybe 18, 19, 20. So I've spent 17 more years than them trying to figure out how to engineer a fulfilling life. And that has been a very, very proactive thing, especially last decade. I think before I was doing it unconsciously, now for the last decade for sure, doing it consciously. So it's passion into purpose, into profit. It's time, effort, money. It's all these different things. And really what I'm doing in that speech, in that presentation, is presenting them with potential solutions to the problems of life. And I'm taking something that is extremely complex, which is every one of us out there watching or listening can do infinite number of things tomorrow. You could go for a hike, you could go for a picnic, you could work out, you could podcast, you could go get a new job, you could apply for a loan, I don't know. You could do anything. You do anything you want. So how do you know what to do? Okay, well, let's break it down. Well, first it starts with, who are you? Okay, what do you mean? What are you passionate about? Well, what's passion? What are you obsessed with? Well, obsessed, I don't know. Is that good? Well, I'm really obsessed with fitness. Okay, you love fitness? You're doing fitness? Okay, awesome. So, passion. Okay, good. Have you ever considered being a personal trainer? It's like, no, not really. Would you like being a personal trainer? I don't know. I've never been one. Okay, you should interview a personal trainer. And then you just break it down, 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 break it down. And eventually you get to these little building blocks. And then you just build this castle and you just fail your way to answers. And when you do, you eventually end up with a supercomputer compared to the computer of the 80s or whatever.
Let me ask you a question.
Talk to me.
Did you know I was a certified forklift operator? You know that?
I didn't know that.
They didn't know that? I was pretty talented.
I don't doubt it, man.
At times. Other times it was like, how did I get any certification on this? This is...
You know, one of the things that's the most depressing to me? I'll depress everybody for a second.
Yeah, let's do it.
When we were in school, and I love educators, huge fan of teachers, I appreciate it. My education, I'm so grateful for it, genuinely. So grateful and I don't feel like a lot of solutions were presented when it came to fitness or finance or life or how to have a great relationship, vulnerability, humility, courage. I don't think that, at Next Level University, it's, what do Kevin and I wish we knew?
I don't think solutions were presented because I have massive respect for educators. I don't think most of the educators that were educating me had the solutions. They had what the books told them. You ever have I guess in fairness, one of our phys ed teachers was actually in pretty good shape, but not most of them. Not most of them. I don't know. I think the class that I learned the most about life in, makes sense, was probably independent living, where I learned how to balance a checkbook. I learned how to cook. I didn't learn how to make a resume, I don't think, because I would have probably been better at making resumes. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't pay attention to that one. Maybe I was hungover in that class. But that was the thing I think that taught me the most about life. Because I think for most of it, I think a lot of what you're learning about is the past, not the future. Like history, awesome. You're learning about the past. That's good. You need that. You need that to be a well-balanced human being. Math. I haven't used the Pythagorean theorem once. It was bullshit. Not a single time have I had to measure the circumference or whatever of something. Like, ChatGPT is great. It'll take care of that for you. I had a calculator in my pocket. It's a miracle. Remember the teachers used to say, you're not going to carry around I am going to carry around a calculator. Thank you so much. I got one in my pocket. And I don't even have to open it. I can just ask the phone for stuff and it does it. But I don't know. I feel like and again, I'm not saying this to be this controversial, But I feel like the people that like were born to be educators, I think those are the ones that have the biggest impact because that's like their thing. And they're really focused on making sure that you leave with way more than you came with. I think that's very important. And I don't know. I don't know enough about the education system, but I'm sure in certain places it's probably way harder to actually give somebody something for a bright future.
What's one thing that you didn't know?
If you're a teacher, I love you, just so you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next Level Nation, what is happening? If you've thought to yourself, I want to try coaching, but you don't really know where to start, group coaching would be a wonderful place for you. That's really why we created it in the first place. We start a new round every 90 days. So if you're hearing this, go to the website, nextleveluniverse.com, and we have the landing page where you can actually hold your spot right now. Even if there's a group going on right now, you can still lock your spot for the next one. The biggest thing that we've seen is as we get closer and closer to the date, unfortunately, some people end up missing. The group fills up and they can't do it, and then they end up regretting that. So please head over to the website. The link will be in the show notes, and we would love to see you there.
What's one thing that you didn't know that would have made a huge difference?
Man.
It's like there's infinite things to know.
Interest rates.
There you go.
If somebody sat me down and said like, okay, cool. This is
right.
This is what you need to know about interest rates. And this is the short-term impact, and this is the long-term impact. And these are the most common misconceptions. The first car I ever got that I had to finance, I had a 21% interest rate because I couldn't get anybody to co-sign. It's a $7,500 car, and we could do the math to figure it out. But I think it ended up costing me, $9,900 for a $7,500 car, something like that. I felt like my back was up against the wall, so I kind of needed to do it anyway. It's like I need to build my own credit. This is probably the best way to do it. I think my car payment was like $215 a month, so it's like, I can afford that. It's not the end of the world. But I didn't know. And I think it's like a recent thing where if you go on your credit card statement or you do it online, you look at the online statement, it tells you how long it will take you to pay it off if you pay the minimum. And it's like 27 years. Like that's how that's a mortgage payment.
Yeah.
You have a 30-year mortgage, you got a 27-year credit card payment. You just don't know it. I feel like that would be supremely important for me to know at a younger age.
Unreal. And then the self-belief thing, I was thinking about this recently. I was listening to a podcast, and the speaker was talking about hunger and drive and contribution. And I remember thinking to myself in the middle of the episode, going, this dude is not talking about how to build self-belief. If you don't know how to build self-belief, how are you going to achieve your dreams and goals? Like, dude, think about that. Isn't that wild? Imagine if you never learned how to build self-belief.
I think for me it was a requirement. I think a lot of other people already have it, so they don't think they have to teach it.
I know.
Or they don't have to learn. You know? That's a weird one. I'm telling you, I'm convinced most of the people giving advice have super high self-belief, and they just don't understand
They
that
have
most people
no
don't.
idea. I could tell both of these people had no idea that other people don't have self-belief. Because they would say things like, you just got to do it. You just got to show up every day, and you just got to trust that it'll work out. It's like, well... No. That's terrible advice.
Yeah,
and then they were like, well, it's about we, not me. And you got to contribute. You just got to serve something greater than yourself. I'm with you. Trust me, I resonate with everything you guys are saying. That's exactly what I'm doing. But what about the other side of the coin of someone who's a fucking martyr who only ever serves others and never sets boundaries and is completely burning themselves to the ground by serving and not charging for it? And then there's people who, how are they supposed to contribute beyond themselves when they don't have enough belief to even to hit their own goals? NLU has done a really good job. I'm very proud of this. We break things down into its smallest components. Like self-belief, you've got to start there. Okay, how do you build it? You keep small promises to yourself each day that you decide in advance to do. I just did a commitment device with one of my clients. He said, charge me double and take the money if I don't XYZ for 7 days. And I'm like, done. Charge him double. And that's a commitment device. So he's going to prove to himself he can do it. And when he does, I'm not going to take his money. And he's going to be like, hell yeah, self-belief. And so this state, prove, self-assign is the formula. He stated, I'm going to do this. Hold me accountable. I'm going to prove to myself that I'm going to do it. In 7 days, we're going to check in. And I'm going to self-assign. Fuck yeah, I did that. That's how you build self-belief. And self-belief is unconscious too. When I asked you the question of what's one thing that you didn't know that you wish you did, I wish I understood how different the conscious mind and the subconscious mind are. Like, I didn't fully understand that until my mid-20s. Like, Kev has self-belief unconsciously, but you didn't consciously have it. And there's other people who think they have it more than you that actually don't, and that's why they never follow through. But they would never know that because no one taught us anything. It's like, and I don't mean anything, obviously people taught us stuff. I think the most important stuff in the world to actually achieve external success and internal fulfillment isn't actually taught in school. That's one thing that prepping for this speech, I got a little bit depressed. Not bad, but I was like, none of this would ever be taught. Like, I think I might be the first person to ever teach this.
Well,
Like,
you can't teach someone something beyond what you've done. I think that's why, again, like, I'm not saying anything about educators. I'm not talking down to educators. You have a very important job, and the future is quite literally in your hands. We had teachers that went out and partied with the students.
Yeah.
What are you going to teach me about life? You don't even have your shit together. You're like sleeping with students. That.
Literally.
Yes, literally. No, I'm not making that up. How are
We went to a interesting school together.
how I think that's way more common than, especially back then.
Nobody was sleeping with me.
Same.
That I can guarantee you.
I didn't get invited to those parties.
Yeah.
But if you really think about it, how
I
could
looked
they
like a
teach me?
14-year-old.
How are they going to teach me about fulfillment? You're going and partying with students on the weekend. You're
Yeah.
not fulfilled. You're not fulfilled. One of the best things that ever happened to me, I was a personal trainer for a short time, hated it, but I had to help people learn how to squat. One of the most humbling things in the world is trying to teach somebody who has never squatted how to squat.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's so easy. And I don't remember ever struggling when I was learning. Maybe I was naturally bred for it. Maybe it's cool. Maybe that's something I'm already good at. Teaching somebody and breaking it down and saying this is the cue, this is the cue. One of the best things ever, because it helps you understand how unobvious it is to someone. And honestly, how unobvious it probably is to most people. Maybe it just came easy to me.
Well, let's go one layer deeper, right?
We have to go quickly because you have a coaching call in 4 minutes.
Why does it matter to squat? Like, that's the thing. It's not just understanding how to squat. How is part of it. It's who, what, when, where, why. How is important, but why? Like, what if I never learn how to squat and Kevin never learns how to squat, what is taken away from our future? Quadzilla. No. But why? Okay, you increase your test levels. You get bigger legs. Okay, why does that matter? Well, you'll have higher self-esteem. You'll have higher testosterone levels, so you'll build more muscle. Therefore, you'll have more longevity. Muscle mass is definitely linked to longevity. You'll have a higher quality of life. When you get older, one of the highest risks for older people is falling down and breaking bones, and then pneumonia that comes with that. Okay, so you're less likely to fall down if you have more muscle mass. And you're less likely to break bones, too. Okay, so why do I need to squat? Well, you'll live longer, statistically. But that's a lot of... You can't just say that.
No.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, well, how long will it take me to learn how to squat? Forever. What do you mean, learn how to squat? Well, at level 1, at level 2, at level 3, at level 10.
It's forever
Kev's
and a day.
Been squatting for 16 years, still figuring out, oh, okay, interesting.
Always.
Yeah.
I figured out
Mastery's
more
forever.
in the 16th year of lifting. And I won't say than in the first year. I think in the beginning you're learning so much, but you're learning such a wide variety of things that it's really not it's not deep. It's like you're learning like you're learning a little bit about A and a little bit about B and a little bit about C all the way to Z. And then as you do it more and more and more, you like really start to understand A. It's like I know A very, 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 very well, and I know all the letters better than I ever have, but now I really understand A. And then eventually you'll figure out that there's more letters, and you have to learn those. That's why it's so hard.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No,
I
you're
thought
good.
you were done.
I'm always
If
done.
you don't learn, you can't build your dreams. I don't want to say manifest because I think sometimes that is thrown around. But if you don't learn how to drive, you don't get to go drive. If you don't learn how to squat, you don't get to have a greater physique. If you don't learn how to succeed in relationships, you don't get love. You don't just get to fall in love. Do you know how hard it is to fall in and stay in love long term? I mean, how many people know a couple that, you should have broke up years ago? And here's the learning loop. The last thing I say, I gotta go. I said this earlier. The learning loop is study it, write it down, do it, practice it. Then you reflect on that practice, and then you teach it. If you teach it, that's when you really learn it. And that's what I'm grateful to be doing later tonight, because it was a different level of learning for me to prepare it, to teach it to someone who doesn't know it.
Makes sense. Well, best of luck. I'm going to talk to you between now and then, but the audience will not. So best of luck. I'm sure you're going to crush it as you do. You don't need luck. Best of talent, best of skill. Don't fuck this up. Whatever you do not fuck this up.
Thank you, bro.
You're welcome. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. We are grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Stay next level. Next Level Nation.